Why is there no discussion about defunding Planned Parenthood through reconciliation? We have the power, we being the Republicans, we have the power to do so. This should be an absolute positive no-brainer. Done deal. All right? It should be assumed that defunding Planned Parenthood is part of the budget bill, the reconciliation bill. We don't need a single Democrat to defund Planned Parenthood. If Planned Parenthood continues to get funding, then it will be because of the Republicans. So is that why we're not getting much discussion about it? I mean, the House put out their budget plan over the weekend, and maybe it's in there, maybe not. I would assume it's not, because you would think that this would be big news if it had been in there. But for whatever reason, very few people are talking about this, and it's a disgrace. Planned Parenthood, the abortion business, now also the transgender affirming care, hormone distributing whatever business, they should not be getting taxpayer funds. They can raise their own money, to be clear. Okay, they're very similar to a lot of these pet projects from the left and some from the right that don't need a single taxpayer dime in order to survive. In fact, they would probably do better, one would argue, through their own fundraising by demonic means or whatever you want to call it. But it's not being discussed. I've been looking for stories about it, and I did find one, came out last week, that seems to maybe point a finger at why few in the House and nobody in the Senate is talking about defunding Planned Parenthood through reconciliation. This article comes to us from Life News. 3 House Republicans reportedly holding up bill to defund Planned Parenthood. This is by Stephen Ertelt and Sarah Holliday over there at Life News. A push to defund Planned Parenthood through a budget reconciliation bill is facing resistance from 3 House Republicans threatening a key pro-life priority. The reconciliation bill, which allows legislation to pass with a simple majority in both chambers, is seen as a critical opportunity to strip federal funding from Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion business. And when we're talking about critical opportunity, this is it, okay? This is the chance to do it. The chance. This is an opportunity that we have not had available to us in the recent past. And you could argue that between 2017 and 2019, early 2019, when the House and Senate were both controlled by Republicans, we could have, should have done it then. We should have. So now that we have a second opportunity, we can't blow it. Back to the article. The abortion company receives nearly $700 million, $700 million in taxpayer funds in its 2022-23 fiscal year, killing 392,715 babies in abortion, according to its annual report. Pro-life advocates argue that redirecting these funds to community health centers would better serve women's health care needs, without supporting an industry they view as responsible for ending unborn lives. However, 3 House Republicans are reportedly hesitant to support including the defunding measure in the reconciliation package, citing concerns over political backlash or the measure's fit within the bill's fiscal focus. In other words, cop-out excuses. I'm going to try not to spit here. This really, really chaps my khakis. This hesitation has sparked frustration among pro-life leaders who see 2025 as a pivotal year with Republican control of the House, the Senate, and the White House aligning for the first time in years. The 3 reportedly include Representatives Mike Lawler, no surprise there, Jen Keegans, and Brian Fitzpatrick. No surprise there. I don't know much about Keegans, but I know about Lawler and Fitzpatrick, and this sure fits in with their priorities. House Speaker Mike Johnson has voiced support for defunding Planned Parenthood, stating on Fox News that he is, quote, working to build the votes needed to pass such a measure through reconciliation. At the annual gala of the pro-life group Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America last week, Johnson pledged that the reconciliation bill is going to redirect funds away from big abortion. I want a direct quote. I want something that says specifically, we are going to defund Planned Parenthood through reconciliation, and we're going to get every single Republican on board. I don't want any of these. We have a thin majority as it is. I don't want a single one of them to, because here's the thing. Any Republican, so-called Republican, that does not seize the opportunity to defund Planned Parenthood and redirect those funds, well, first, either let's just not spend the funds at all, okay, that would be ideal, but if they've got, oh, we got to replace it with something, then fine, put it towards actual women's health, actual childhood health, not towards the effort of killing babies or transing kids or anything like that. Pretty simple. That otherwise anybody who opposes that shouldn't be considered a Republican at all. However, with a narrow Republican majority, even a small number of holdouts could derail the effort, as no pro-life Democrats are expected to support the measure. And are there still pro-life Democrats out there, at least amongst politicians? Whatever. Fitzpatrick said, we need simplicity in this bill, and this is where we get into the cop-out, and this is really going to make you mad if you read this the way I'm reading it. I think there's other policy areas that we need to focus on. Okay, so walk and chew gum at the same time. These reconciliation bills, these budget bills, these omnibuses, these continuing resolutions, generally speaking, they're huge. It's not like, oh, we're going to focus on a single bill. It's like, on one hand, they say, we need to focus on a single bill and not worry about Planned Parenthood. And then on the other hand, they say, let's throw it all in a bill. Which one is it? It's whatever's convenient for them. And in this case, Brian Fitzpatrick, absolute rhino, disgusting rhino, is copping out, saying, oh, well, we need to focus on other things. Okay, it's really easy. You know what? It's like end funding for Planned Parenthood, done. Okay, that didn't take much focus. Okay, I know that he's a member of Congress, which takes his IQ down about 100 points, but I think that a 7 to 10 word addition to the reconciliation bill should not, as an elected official, it should not like blow his mind so much that he's just like, oh my gosh, I can't focus on this. I am just so stupid that I can't, let's just focus on something less complicated like budgets for the defense or something like that. I don't like Brian Fitzpatrick, if you couldn't tell. After news surfaced before this report that the three lawmakers were opposed to defunding Planned Parenthood, a spokesperson for Keegan's said the Congresswoman's position was taken out of context. Congresswoman Keegan's is proudly pro-life and firmly opposes any federal funding for abortion. Okay, so in other words, she's in favor of defunding Planned Parenthood. That should be the next sentence, right? She is in favor of defunding Planned Parenthood through reconciliation. But no, that's not what it says. It says she attended a closed-door policy discussion with House leadership and Republican colleagues focused on Medicaid reform. We're not talking about Medicaid. We're talking about Planned Parenthood. Okay? So stop changing the subject, but again, politicians. Reform within the broader reconciliation process. The Congresswoman supports thoughtful, targeted Medicaid reforms that strengthen the program, preserve its integrity, and ensure it serves those who it originally intended to help. Okay. So where's the sentence that said she's pro-life and she wants to defund Planned Parenthood? She supports defunding Planned Parenthood. Those are the words that need to be in here. Pro-life groups, including Students for Life of America and Family Research Council, have intensified lobbying efforts with hundreds of activists visiting Capitol Hill in recent weeks to press lawmakers. A coalition of over 150 national and state pro-life organizations has called for action, emphasizing that Planned Parenthood's federal funding, primarily through Medicaid, must be redirected. Critics of Planned Parenthood point to reports of mismanagement, and I don't think any of my audience needs to be convinced that this is a good idea to defund them. I'm stopping. John Thune wants it on his desk. Mike Johnson wants it on his desk sooner. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to get too annoyed. This is why I always say, and I've said this about abortion, I'm going to continue this thought as it comes to the radical LGBTQIA plus indoctrination of children. In both cases, this isn't just a political issue. We cannot say, okay, well, Republicans are going to fix this, or we have to, fix this in the state legislatures or whatever. This has to be viewed from the perspective of, we have a faith perspective in both arenas. We have a cultural perspective in both arenas. And yes, we do have a political perspective, but we might not have much that we can do, you and I can do, other than lobbying, calling our congressmen or senators or whatever. We can do a little bit. But when it comes to the cultural side, the faith-driven side, in both cases, Christians should be very vocal about defunding Planned Parenthood. and those who believe from a cultural perspective, outside of the religious side, from a cultural perspective, that both LGBTQIA plus indoctrination as well as murdering of preborn babies, if you believe that those things don't align with your cultural beliefs, the American society's I guess heartbeat, so to speak, from a cultural perspective, then yes, we need to be vocal about it, not just politically. We need to be changing hearts and minds. It is part of our role. There's no need to stress about your retirement. I know things are looking really crazy out there with the markets and trade wars and all this other stuff, but there's no need to be checking your portfolio every day. You're seeing, oh my gosh, is it up? Is it down? What's happening? You should be looking at your retirement in the long term, and the best way to do that, in my humble opinion, not a financial advisor, but in my humble opinion, the best way to do that is through physical precious metals. But you need to be working with the right company, and you can find the right company by going to jdrgold.com. That's jdrgold.com.